Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our July 2026 full council meeting. Tonight's meeting is being held in City Council chambers and is being streamed live on City 12 TV, as well as the City Council's YouTube and Facebook pages. We also continue to post meeting information and materials on the city's website. The meeting will now come to order, and I ask Deputy Clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Gruber, Councilmember Leslie Smith, Councilmember Lupien,
Here.
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Monroe,
Here.
Councilmember Patterson,
Here.
Councilmember Smith,
Here.
Vice President Harris,
Here.
President Melendez.
Here.
Thank you.
So before we begin tonight's business, we want to open by grounding ourselves in our community. In Rochester, we celebrate Pride Month in July, not in June. Pride Month is, as most of the country know, began after the Stonewall Uprising in June of 1969, the moment launched a modern LGBTQ+ civil rights movement. Rochester has its own place in that history. Soon after Stonewall, the first LGBTQ+ picnic took place here on July 16, 1972, and that tradition has carried forward for more than 50 years. That is why Rochester's Pride festivities happen in July. This year, that moment in July 1972 carries weight beyond our meeting this evening. Across the country, the current federal administration has advanced policies and rhetoric that target our LGBTQ+ neighbors directly, working to strip away recognition, protections, and in many cases, access to care. Transgender members of our community, in particular, are bearing the brunt of this, both in policy and in daily life. Transgender individuals continue to die by suicide and by violence at rates far higher than the general population. A crisis driven not by who they are, but by the discrimination, exclusion, and danger they are forced to navigate simply to exist openly. We ask you to hold those lives in this silence. The ones lost to violence, the ones lost to mental health crises that is too often ignored or made worse, and the ones still here, still fighting to be seen, safe, and whole. We stand beside you in solidarity. So we'll take a moment of silence in honor of our LGBTQ+ neighbors. Thank you. Councilmember Monroe, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? This time I'm going to ask my colleagues to join me at the podium for tonight's recognitions. So we have a little bit of a surprise. This time I'm going to ask Kelly Munoz-Miles to join us in the front. Kelly's looking around like, what is this? So tonight we're celebrating 20 years of Kelly Munoz-Miles' service to the city of Rochester. And 20 years is not a milestone that many can claim, and Kelly has spent every one of those years in service to the residents of the city of Rochester. Throughout her time in the city, she has risen through the ranks, providing key support to too many departments, including our own, but also the Neighborhood and Business Development Department and Communications. And along the way, building institutional knowledge and skills that would eventually bring her to the council office as the bilingual executive assistant. In her role with the Office of City Council, Kelly is the constant behind the scenes, the person who keeps the office running, manages contracting, supports meetings, and keeps the work of the council moving forward every single day. Mayors and council members have come and gone over the 2 decades. Priorities have shifted, and the demands on this office have only grown. But Kelly's steady hand has never wavered. Her institutional knowledge, her care for this office, and her commitment to the people of Rochester have made her indispensable. And tonight, the council is proud to recognize 20 years of essential service that has made everything else possible. Thank you, Kelly, for all that you do. So now we would like to recognize organizations and individuals who provide critical health care and support to Rochester's LGBTQ+ community. With our LGBTQ+ health-serving organizations and individuals doing this work every day, please join us in the front. So on behalf of Rochester City Council, we proudly recognize and celebrate your enduring contributions to the LGBTQ+ community in the city and your hard work for LGBTQ+ neighbors in the health space. You have helped shape a more inclusive city. In a time when LGBTQ+ rights continue to face threats, we're informed affirming healthcare is not guaranteed everywhere in this country and is actively at risk. Your work matters, now more than ever. Your presence, your voice, and your care are powerful acts of resistance and hope. Thank you for standing proudly in your truth and for helping others do the same. The organizations and individuals standing in front of us tonight are the reason Rochester's LGBTQ+ residents can find care that sees them fully and treats them with dignity. We see you, we honor you, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we stand with you. Happy Pride. We'll take a moment for a picture. So next we have the approval of the minutes by Vice President Harris.
Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting on June 16, 2026 be approved as published in the official sheets of the proceedings.
All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The following documents are hereby directed to be received and filed. The mayor submits the following: delinquent receivables report for the month ending in June 30th, 2026. The council submits disclosure of interest forms from President Melendez on introductory number 262, and from Vice President Harris and Council Member Lupien on introductory number 303.
Thank you. These documents will be received and filed. It's time for the presentation and reference of petitions and any other communications. Are there any petitions? Hearing none, we'll now move on to the reports of standing committees and action thereon. Chairperson Patterson, the Neighborhood Jobs and Housing Committee report, please.
Thank you. Mr. President, can I ask a favor of you before I do that?
Yes, sir.
Looks as though we have a bunch of young people in the back. Looks like they snuck in, kind of moved around. So when you come in, we notice you, and especially us old folks. Could you tell us could you ask them who they are?
Sure. All right, a little off script. Anyone from the crowd would like to recognize where you're from? Rochester Urban Fellows, welcome tonight to the council meeting.
Okay. To the council, the Neighborhoods, Jobs, and Housing Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 260, authorizing the sale of real estate. Introductory number 261, authorizing a loan agreement and appropriating funds for Bull's Head Revitalization Project brownfield cleanup activities. Introductory number 262, appropriating 2021-2022 annual action plan funds and authorizing agreements for homelessness prevention services. This report is respectfully submitted by myself, Michael A. Patterson, Council members LaShonda Leslie Smith, Council member Mary Lupien, Vice President Lachey D. Harris, and President Miguel A. Melendez, Jr.
Thank you, Chairperson Patterson. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 260, authorizing the sale of real estate. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 261, authorizing a loan agreement and appropriating funds for Bull's Head Revitalization Project brownfield cleanup activities. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 262, appropriating 2021-22 annual action plan funds and authorizing agreements for homelessness prevention services. There is a disclosure on this item for myself. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for Trillium Health, but not in an ex officio capacity, so I'm recusing myself from deliberations and the vote on this item. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I will abstain. 801. Motion carries 801. Excuse me, 701. Sorry. Councilmember Leslie Smith will be joining us shortly. 701. All right. And Vice President Harris, do you have a motion related to introductory 235?
Yes. Introductory number 235. I move to to bring it back out of committee.
So we have a motion to bring 235 out of committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Then seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Discussion?
Yes, Council President. I am happy to see this legislation because the entire city, we have a fair number of refugees as well as immigrants, and they play such an important role in our lives here. And certainly in the Northwest, we are home to quite a few people who have come from other countries, and we welcome them with wide arms. I am voting yes on this item. But I also want to repeat something that another council member had said, and I'm hoping that we'll see soon, is a new process for how we do budget amendments. I think that that's a long time coming, so we know exactly how to go about it, how to do justifications and things like that. So I'm hoping to see that from this office soon. The other point I wanted to make, though, which I just find a little hard, is that, you know, we had a 7-3 vote on the budget, and that vote for a 7-3 vote on a budget, and now we're moving forward with amendments from people who hadn't voted for said budget. I am glad to see this piece of legislation, and again, I'm voting in favor for it, but I think it's important to take a look at what council does and our fiduciary responsibility to make sure that we have a city that is well governed and is financially strong. Also, I would like to see, we have a school that has been hanging out there, school number 29, which was going to be hopefully sold to a charter school, Roxy, that came to us. We had lots of students come and speak to us in this chamber. We had a lot of public meetings so that we could sell this school. And while there were concerns that the proposal for this school that was chosen was the school as opposed to housing, I think it's very important to point out that while we didn't get the 7-3 vote for that school, and therefore these children who are city residents are out in the suburbs at Cardinal Mooney, that they are Black, brown, and immigrant children. The principal himself is an immigrant. These students came to tell us about how great the strides were that they could make at Roxy as compared to where they were previously in the city school district. I think it's immensely important to make sure that all children have the opportunity to go to a school that is going to support them and make them excel. That's something that we struggle with in the city. And when the vote was taken and School 29 sale was shot down, it was very hard. We had this room packed and we had children crying. And on top of that, for the fiduciary piece of that, that was a $3 million sale that the city would have had. And that sale is something that was already planned for in the budget. So by not passing, and I hope that we might still be able to do this, but by not passing it, what happened is that now that $3 million has to be made up elsewhere in the budget, and that will simply put another strain on the budget and the services that we're able to serve to give our residents. So I would just like to see a more comprehensive way that we deal with these issues, that the dots all line up and make sense. I certainly support our refugee and immigrant community. I also support the large number of immigrant students and Black and brown students who were at School 29 and so disappointed not to have that school offered to them. In the meantime, then the city still has this vacant building that the city has to spend money on to be able to make sure people aren't breaking in since it is vacant, so there's security there. We have to make sure that it's still maintained, especially towards winter when you need to make sure that you don't have pipes exploding and things of that nature. So it is an ongoing cost to us. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Vice President Harris.
I'd just like to put on record that I am in support of this legislation because it's the right thing to do, supporting people and families. And also both organizations are located in my district, and I'd like to be on record that I'm supporting it as a district council member. Thank you.
Any additional comments? Okay, Councilmember Martin.
First of all, I'd just like to thank the organizations that do so much for our immigrant community, namely Refugees Helping Refugees, the Rochester Refugee Resettlement Services, and also Melcor. The amendment that was proposed allows the funding to be able to support not just one, but 3 organizations. I'm grateful that within this administration, where immigrants' rights are under attack, these organizations remain steadfast, committed to serving and caring and making sure people have hope in our community. So I'm really proud of my colleagues, Councilmember Lupia and myself, and Councilmember Kiara Kiki Smith authored this legislation, and I'm just very grateful for the support of this body in this moment, and also grateful to the organizations who will be receiving funding today.
Last call for comments, and then I'm going to make some comments before we vote. All right, Councilmember Patterson.
It goes without saying that I believe everyone in this council supports immigrants in our community. We are committed to standing with them in this time of need when we are all at threat and at risk, especially in the city of Rochester, from a federal administration that sees us as a thing to be ground under its heel. We get it. I have never had any issue or concern with funding this group. My concern and my issue is this. On this, the first council meeting of the new fiscal year, we currently have a $3 million deficit that we have to meet, that we have to find a way to fill. So the choices before us are, we can either sell School 29, or we can find $3 million in cuts in our budget. Rock-Si is an incredible community school, predominantly populated by young black and brown women with a sizable immigrant community. Those children have to go to school in 2 hallways in the suburbs. We have a building that could meet their need and solve a problem for us. And 3 members of this body decided that their commitment to ideology was greater than their commitment to our children. We're going to spend $125,000. I have no problem with spending that. The dollars were set aside for that purpose. And yet, that money will be gone in a short period of time and will not have near the impact that our actions could have had if we had supported those children and those families that are Rochester residents by selling that school. Colleagues, y'all sat here, you saw those kids, and you told them no. I was in contact with the principal today. I was in contact with him, last night, today. Long day. He stressed to me that, council member, I appreciate the work of you and the majority of council, but that vote did harm to those children and to those families. And it's like, I understand their commitment to ideology, but it's my hope that going forward, somehow, some way, y'all could find a way to put these kids first. It's 134 kids that, though the majority of this body chose and wanted to serve, 3 of you said no. You did harm to children. They are at risk. They were going to have to struggle with going to school outside of our community for a whole nother year. Colleagues, it is my hope that you will find a way to support these families just as you have chosen to support the other immigrant families in our community. Thank you.
Yep, Councilmember Smith, and then, yes, Councilmember Smith.
Thank you. Just for the record, I want to be clear that the three of us proposed to this administration and to council that prior to selling public property, that we first consider it for housing first, and then additional public usage prior to selling it. That was our stance. That is our stance. Housing, we're in a housing crisis. We know that. We heard from the Rochester City School District that there was a 180% increase in homeless students just in 2024. We don't know what 25 and 26 numbers look like. So I just want to say for the record, the vote was not to harm children. We were taking children and families into consideration when we made the vote. And so we asked that it go back out to RFP, and had that happened by now and nothing came back, the building could have been sold by now. But we've been engaging in political theater instead of doing what's best for this community and best for children and families. And so I just want the record to reflect our intentions behind our vote.
So Councilmember Leslie Smith, welcome. We are on introductory 235 related to refugee services. If you have a comment on that, I'll entertain any comments before I make any comments.
I don't have any new comments other than what has already been stated earlier this month during the start of the legislative cycle. I'm very much in support of this legislation that is being put forth, mostly because I've already been in support of my other colleagues' positions, but I do believe that it is really important for us as a team to get together and determine what is our process when we are supporting these services. How is it our responsibility to support our administration? Is it our responsibility to support the existing programs that we already have? Is it our responsibility to close the budget gap? Is it our responsibility to ensure that our fund balance is at a place that allows us to function as a healthy city? I think those are all our priorities and the things that we should be discussing. But I am in favor of this just this time around. It would probably be different in future years.
Thank you. All right, so I'll make some final comments before the vote. So this is legislation that will do good things and help good people in our community, and I'm pleased that it is going forward. We know that the supports given to these organizations and by these organizations aren't just important, they can be life-saving to the immigrants, refugees, and families that they serve. Having said that, I also want to not lose sight of the fact that there is nothing more life-saving than an education. Many of the students who attend schools like Rock-Sci wanted to attend closer to home in their city, in a facility that would accommodate the school's growing needs. And they were denied that right after what was a fair RFP process at the time. Many were immigrants or refugees, if not first generation, second generation. They had stories to tell, they told them. These are the same families that might benefit from the services that we are providing through this introductory. And I think instead of thinking about these things together, we have thought about them separately and in a vacuum. So all decisions in this community have to be about the big picture, in my opinion. So when there was conversation about putting these things against each other last month, for me, it wasn't about putting these things against each other. It was the hope that we could do both things for the greater good of the community. And we still can. I'm going to support this legislation simply because I support this legislation, point blank. But in supporting this, it has nothing to do with any rhetoric that happened last month. In supporting this legislation, I have to acknowledge that there is a $3 million hole in our city budget, left from revenue from a sale of a school building that would support immigrant and refugee families and a majority student population of black and brown kids, our kids, city youth, that get bused to the burbs I also learned over this decision that the school lost students. And that to me is painful. That school building sitting vacant and bleeding taxpayer resources with every passing month is also painful. I don't say these things to reopen wounds. I've had great conversations with all 8 other members of council at different points in the last couple months. But I'll wait for the day that someone hopefully moves School 29 from the table to vote on it. If there is a desire for an RFP process again, it is my hope that that desire is communicated directly to the administration and we work on that. My hunch is that it's going to come back with the same results, but open to whatever needs to happen. I just want to find a path forward. And I was hoping that we could find a path forward for both of these things to happen because I think they're both important. At the end of the day, I have a fiduciary responsibility to the taxpayer. Losing $3 million is one thing, but continuing every month to spend more money on a vacant building while it sits is problematic for me. So that's where I'll leave it tonight, and I'm proud to support this measure, and this will do good things for good people in our community, and I'll move the item introductory 235 to a vote. So we'll try it without a roll call. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Chairperson Gruber, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee report, please.
To the Council, the Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 263, authorizing an agreement for an orchestral program for urban students. Introductory number 264, authorizing amendatory agreements for the neighborhood ambassador programs. Introductory number 265, authorizing amendatory agreements and amending the 26-27 budget relating to the Emergency Financial Empowerment Initiative. Introductory number 266, authorizing a grant agreement and appropriation for adding to the Financial Empowerment Center's counseling services legacy planning that includes legal advice provided through a lawyer fellowship pilot program. Introductory number 267, authorizing an amendatory agreement for wills and estate planning services. Introductory number 268, amending ordinance number 2026-173 related to an IT asset tracking and cyber exposure management solution. Introductory number 269, authorizing an agreement for managed security operations center services. Introductory number 270, authorizing an amendatory agreement related to legal representation in certain employment matters. Introductory number 271, authorizing an agreement to provide a case management system for the law department. Introductory number 272, authorizing an amendatory agreement to collect unpaid assessments for violations of traffic, parking, and municipal code requirements. Introductory number 273, authorizing the cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges. Introductory number 274, appropriating grant funds relating to the accessibility and security improvements to the Lyle Branch Library. Introductory number 275, authorizing an agreement related to intranet city website development. Introductory number 276, authorizing an appointment to the Rochester Civil Service Commission. Introductory number 277, authorizing an agreement with General Code LLC for publication of the city charter and code. The Budget, Finance, and Governance Committee recommends for the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 305, amending the Domestic Partnership Code to acknowledge the automatic termination of partnerships on account of marriage or death. This report was respectfully submitted by council members Stanley Martin, Kiera Smith, Lachey Harris, Miguel Melendez, and myself, Mitch Gruber.
Thank you, Chairperson Gruber. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we'll proceed with the vote. Introductory number 263, authorizing an agreement for an orchestral program for urban students. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 264, authorizing mandatory agreements for the neighborhood ambassador programs. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 265, authorizing mandatory agreements and amending the 2026-27 budget relating to the Emergency Financial Empowerment Initiative. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 266, authorizing a grant agreement and appropriation for adding to the Financial Empowerment Center's counseling services legacy planning that includes legal advice provided through a lawyer fellowship pilot program. Council Vice President.
Thank you, President Melendez. I'd like to first thank and foremost the administration for working within this space and addressing our residents' needs regarding estate and legacy planning. The distribution of intergenerational wealth is something that we all know that is critically important, particularly in historically marginalized communities. We know that historic marginalized affects the modern wealth. This has been an issue that I've been working on for many years in partnership with Mayor Evans and our estate planning summit. I look forward to the expansion of this work via this agreement and the one in the following introductory, which is introductory number 267. So tonight I want to be sure to invite the administration to bring these new resources to our next event, which is upcoming. This upcoming year we're going to be planning. Thank you to Mayor Evans and my City Council colleagues for your combined leadership in bringing these programs forward to our Rochester residents. Thank you.
Thank you. I will move that one to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 267, authorizing a mandatory agreement for wills and estate planning services. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 268, amending ordinance number 2026-173 related to an IT asset tracking and cyber exposure management solution. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 269, authorizing an agreement for Managed Security Operations Center services. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 270, authorizing a mandatory agreement related to legal representation in certain employment matters. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 271, authorizing an agreement to provide a case management system for the law department. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 272, authorizing a mandatory agreement to collect unpaid assessments for violations of traffic, parking, and municipal code requirements. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 273, authorizing the cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 274, appropriating grant funds relating to the accessibility and security improvements to the Lyle Branch Library. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 275, authorizing an agreement relating to the intranet city website development. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 276, authorizing an appointment to the Rochester Civil Service Commission. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 277, authorizing an agreement with General Code LLC for publication of the city charter and code. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Gruber, do you have a motion related to introductory number 305, amending the domestic partnership code to acknowledge the automatic termination of partnerships on account of marriage or death?
I do. I'd like to make a motion to move this item out of committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been seconded. Let's vote on discharging the item from committee. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any discussions, comments, concerns related to the introductory?
Yeah, At the last council meeting, I asked about the possible issues that may arise with spouses not being aware that the domestic partnership is terminated. For example, if one of them is married. I am going to support this. You know, it's coming from the clerks. This is something they need. But I'm just curious about what you found around this, Patrick.
So I'm pretty sure that that was included in the response that Tom Worth had drafted, but I can certainly check that and get back to you, council member.
Sounds good. I know there were some issues with them, but you don't feel comfortable discussing that piece?
I just have to remind myself what we said.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I believe we got the questions out just yesterday. So for council members, we're a little late on getting the answers out. I'm sorry. So we'll definitely make sure we have that in clarified.
Councilor Martin, it's on page 40 in the book.
Thank you. Thank you, Mitch.
All right. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, we'll move this item to a vote. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Chairperson Monroe, the People, Parks, and Public Works Committee report, please.
To the Council, the People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends for adoption the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 278, authorizing agreements and appropriating funds for the 2029 Preventative Maintenance Project. Introductory number 279, resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marcicelli program aid eligible costs of the City of Rochester PM Group 16 Transportation Federal Aid Project and appropriating funds therefore. Introductory number 280, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $331,000 bonds of said city to finance the Monroe Avenue Emergency Street Reconstruction Project. Introductory number 281, appropriating funds for the Monroe Avenue Emergency Street Construction Project. Introductory number 284, authorizing agreements and appropriation for the Main Street Commons Project. Introductory number 285, authorizing an amendatory agreement for the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park Playground renovation. Introductory number 286, authorizing agreement and appropriation related to the East Avenue Streetscape Project. Introductory number 287, authorizing a license agreement relating to developing the Terrace Park portion of the High Falls State Park. Introductory number 288, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $500,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of the Rundell Memorial Library Terrace Evaluation and Repair Program. Introductory number 289, authorizing consolidated funding grant applications and agreements. Introductory number 290, authorizing an amendatory agreement to implement a remedial action work plan for the former Emerson Street landfill. Introductory number 291, authorizing an amendatory agreement relating to the environmental remediation of 52 and 96 Falls Street. Introductory number 292, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $4,900,000 bonds of said city to finance the acquisition of 3 boom trucks, 1 forklift, 1 roll-off truck, 1 stake body truck, 1 box truck, 1 leaf vacuum truck, and 6 side-load refuse collection trucks for use by the city's solid waste collection system. Introductory number 293, authorizing an agreement for an expo component of the Frederick Douglass HBCU Football Classic. Introductory number 294, amending an agreement for the Rochester Public Market Shed C Replacement Project. Introductory number 295, authorizing agreement and appropriations relating to the New York State Department of Health Comprehensive Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Grant. Introductory number 296, authorizing an agreement for the Peacemaker Fellowship Program. Introductory number 297, appropriating funds relating to the renovation of the swimming pool facilities at the Jackson R Center. Introductory number 298, authorizing agreement and amending the 2026-27 budget relating to Rochester Animal Services fee-waived pet adoption events. Introductory number 299, authorizing agreements and an appropriation related to the New York State Department of Health Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Grant Program. Introductory number 300, authorizing the application for and appropriation of grant funds for the Conduit Modernization Phase 3A project. Introductory number 301, bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $2,550,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the costs of the Conduit Modernization Phase 3A project. Introductory number 302, amending ordinance number 2026-132 relating to the renovation of the Trenton and Pamela Jackson R Center Playground. The People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends for consideration the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 282, amending the official map relating to the Mount Hope Avenue Improvement Project Phase 2. Introductory number 283, amending the official map relating to the East Main Street Improvement Project. The People, Parks, and Public Works Committee recommends the following entitled legislation to be held in committee. Introductory number 282, amending the official map relating to the Mount Hope Avenue Improvement Project Phase 2.
Thank you, Chairman Rowe. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 278, authorizing agreements and appropriating funds for the 2029 preventative maintenance project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 279, a resolution authorizing the implementation and funding in the first instance 100% of the federal aid and state Marchicelli program aid eligible costs of the City of Rochester PM Group 16 Transportation Federal Aid Project and appropriating funds therefore. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Just a note on the record, I got a lot better at reading those. It's taken a couple years, but I got there. Introductory number 280, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $331,000 bonds of said city to finance the Monroe Avenue Emergency Street Reconstruction Project. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson, Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 281, appropriating funds for the Monroe Avenue Emergency Street Reconstruction Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 283, amending the official map relating to the East Main Street Improvement Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 284, authorizing agreements and appropriation for the Main Street Commons Project. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 285, authorizing the mandatory agreement for the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Park Playground renovation. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 286, authorizing agreement and appropriation related to the East Avenue Streetscape Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 287, authorizing a license agreement relating to developing the Terrace Park portion of the High Falls State Park. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 288, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $500,000 bonds of said city to finance the cost of the Rundell Memorial Library Terrace Evaluation and Repair Program. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 289, authorizing consolidated funding, grant applications, and agreements. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 290, authorizing a mandatory agreement to implement a remedial action work plan for the former Emerson Street landfill. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 291, authorizing a mandatory agreement relating to the environmental remediation of 52 and 96 Falls Street. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 292, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $4,900,000 bonds of said city to finance the acquisition of 3 boom trucks, 1 forklift, 1 roll-off truck, 1 stake body truck, 1 box truck, 1 leaf vacuum truck, and 6 side-load refuse collection trucks for use by the city's solid waste collection system. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien, Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith, Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 293, authorizing an agreement for an expo component of the Frederick Douglass HBCU Football Classic. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 294, amending an agreement for the Rochester Public Market Shed C Replacement Project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 295, authorizing agreement and appropriations relating to the New York State Department of Health Comprehensive Adolescent Pregnancy Prevention Grant. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 296, authorizing agreement for the Peacemaker Fellowship Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 297, appropriating funds related to the renovation of the swimming pool facilities at the Jackson R Center. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 298, authorizing agreement and amending the 2026-27 budget relating to the Rochester Animal Services fee-waived pet adoption events. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 299, authorizing agreements and an appropriation related to the New York State Department of Health Sexual Risk Avoidance Education Grant Program. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 300, authorizing the application for an appropriation of grant funds for the Conduit Modernization Phase 3A project. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Introductory number 301, a bond ordinance of the City of Rochester, New York, authorizing the issuance of $2,550,000 bonds of said city to finance a portion of the cost of the Conduit Modernization Phase 3A project. This requires a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson, Councilmember Smith, Councilmember Vice President Harris,
Yes.
and President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Introductory number 302, amending ordinance number 2026-132 relating to the renovation of the Trenton and Pamela Jackson R Center Playground. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Councilmember Monroe, do you have a motion related to introductory number 282, amending the official map relating to the the Mount Hope Avenue Improvement Project Phase 2?
Yes, I would like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 282 from committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded. Let's vote on discharging 282 from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Any questions, comments, or further discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote on introductory number 282. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Vice President Harris, the Public Safety Committee report, please.
Thank you, President Melendez. To the council, the Public Safety Committee recommends adoption for the following entitled legislation. Introductory number 304, authorizing agreements related to the 2026-27 Gun Violence Elimination Grant. The Public Safety Committee recommends the following entitled legislation be held in committee. Introductory number 303, authorizing intermunicipal agreements with the Rochester City School District and amending the 2026-27 budget to provide police services during the 2026 summer session, during the 2026-27 regular session, and for the 2026-27 school events. This report is respectfully submitted by Councilmembers Mitch Gruber, LaShonda Leslie Smith, Mary Lupian, Stanley Martin, Bridget A. Monroe, Michael A. Patterson, Kara Kiki Smith, President Miguel A. Melendez Jr., and myself, Vice President Lachey D. Harris.
Thank you, Vice President Harris. That report will be received, filed, and published, and we will proceed with the vote. Introductory number 304, authorizing agreements related to the 2026-27 Gun-Involved Violence Elimination Grant. All those in favor, please say aye.
Question.
Oh, we got a question. Councilmember Martin.
Just a quick question. So thank you to Law for explaining that, in your opinion, this can't be divided. But I'd like you to explain more, right? Because they're separate elements, right? There are funds going to Patstone, some going to RPD, and different organizations in your responses receive separate award letters from DCJS. So based on that, it feels like this is something that could be divided. You know, there are different elements, and if one part was potentially taken away, it's possible for the rest to remain, just based on how it's written in the ordinance. So I just want you to hear more about your perspective.
Yeah, so I think our guidance was just that because the grant is awarded based on the entire budget that was proposed, and that budget is incorporated into the grant approval, that all of those pieces have to be part of it, right? So we can't accept just a portion of it, because the risk would be DCJS says, well, that's not what we approved, right? You applied with a certain budget, we authorized a certain budget, and now you're saying you're only doing a piece of it. So it's all part and parcel of one grant application and award, even though it has to be executed through a number of different contracts with different third parties.
So I guess in essence, it still could be written differently. Like, you could have written the legislation in a way that still accounts for all the funds that are allocated, but in different pieces. And I've seen that happen with other funding for different programs in the city. Are you saying that the reason that this doesn't apply here is because, let's say, one part fails, DCJS would not fund the entire thing?
because the conditions of the award are the budget, right? And the budget has all of these pieces, so we have to approve the spend for all of these pieces.
Gotcha. Thank you. So, based on that, so my hope was that we would be able to divide this because there are separate elements of it, and thinking through, reading through the text of the ordinance, it does seem divisible. However, based on the law department's opinion, I will have to vote no because I do oppose hotspot policing. I do appreciate the answers that came from the administration, looking through the areas where areas that are targeted. These are predominantly marginalized neighborhoods, black and brown neighborhoods, areas that have low income. So it feels that it is not equitably administered, knowing that there are different mechanisms for safety. Using hotspot policing in black and brown poor neighborhoods just doesn't feel right for me. So for that reason, I will be voting no.
Any Councilmember Lupien, and then Councilmember Smith.
Yeah, I have a question. I know that the GIVE grant used to cover hotspot policing. Is that still part of it?
Yes, hotspot policing, which I remind everyone is foot patrols, getting out of the car, saying hi, going in businesses, talking to people. That's hotspot policing, according to Dr. Coper, which is the model we use, is still incorporated in the GIVE grant.
Thank you.
Councilmember Smith.
Yeah. So for me, I was looking over the GIVE grant, and so you guys it says the last time you guys had a report was in 2019. So I'm curious, how do you guys are you evaluated yearly, or how does, I'm confused.
That 2019 question was specific to RIT's portion of the GIVE grant. We were evaluated yearly. Actually, we're evaluated quarterly by DCJS. The Rochester Police Department is a model GIVE city, or the example that DCJS uses when rolling out this program in other municipalities as far as our compliance to the DCJS recommended programs and strategies.
Thank you for that clarity. I was just really surprised about the investment from the GIVE dollars that goes back actually to community services and prevention. So out of $3 million, less than $320,000 goes directly to community, aside from the overall GIVE reporting. And to me, that again seems inequitable, as Councilmember Martin stated. I would love to see a 70-30 model at least of, Rochester Police Department working alongside other community, what we would refer to as credible messaging programs to support community. It seems like there is a lot of money going to fund, police overtime, police salaries, and only $25,000 has been allocated to youth and police activities, and there's no plan around how those dollars will be, like what the activities would be. And I was really surprised by the low investment. And so even though I support community policing, I support safe neighborhoods for our community, I cannot support this investment into the GIVE program at this time. Thank you.
Can I add to?
Yeah, Chief, please.
Again, we don't necessarily determine that. It is a state program. DCJS determines that. I would also like to point out that thanks to GIVE, we have a 49% reduction from the 10-year average in shooting-related incidents in the city of Rochester. 2 months ago, we had a month that was the lowest in 20 years in the city of Rochester, all thanks to the GIVE program.
Yeah. 1 second before I turn it to Councilmember Lupien. So in our July council memo, starting on page 87, is the details from the GIVE grant. And I just want to point out a couple quick things. So we have case management services to the tune of $180,000 through Papstone. We have a contract with RIT for a Give Director, Give Crime Analyst, non-fatal shooting analyst, digital media analyst, and students that work on that. That's roughly $681,000. We have a contract for the HBCU Classic that comes through the Give grant to the amount of $25,000. We have an agreement for tailored training programs that is really supporting our officers in training in a science-based interview model. That's $105,000. We have measures for justice included in this, $30,000. We have 6 detectives that are working on this grant. That's roughly, with salaries and fringe, about 1.3. The overtime number is $655,000 that's paid for through the grant. $125,000 for conference-related travel, $100,000 for crime prevention. So this is really through environmental design, so CEPTED projects. So that could be things like improving lighting in a given area, or working on a specific project that's more about the environment and not policing. And so I just wanted, while certainly there's overtime in this budget and there's police services in this budget, the full scope of this really is probably closer to the 70-30 model that Councilmember Smith was referencing. So I just wanted to pause there to highlight that for everyone. I also want to say that, this is a grant. We either accept it or we don't. And it's money that's coming from the state of New York. It's money that every city competes for. When we get awarded these dollars, it is really to try to intervene, and this isn't the only intervention the city has, right? This is part of a full spectrum of services to include our violence prevention units that are out there doing the good work, engaging young people and trying to prevent homicides and violence before they happen. I think if we want to have a conversation about what latitudes and opportunities there are to migrate future funding or in future applications from the GIVE initiative, that's another conversation. But I think when I look at this, I see a relatively comprehensive approach, considering that we have requirements that DCJS puts on us for what we can use the dollars for. Councilmember Lupien.
Yeah, just to correct the record, $1,338,000 is going to salary and fringe benefits, in addition to the $655,000 in officer overtime. So that's $2 million of the 32 or the $3 million grant. So I don't think it's 70-30 in favor of alternative methods. I do, agree with my colleagues that preventing violence is much more effective and cheaper than investigating non-fatal shootings after the fact. And I would like to see overall more investment in prevention strategies. We hear the mayor say all the time, prevention, intervention, suppression, yet the budget doesn't really reflect that dedication. And question for you, Chief. You said that the 52% reduction is
49% reduction from the 10-year average.
49% reduction from the 10-year average is 100% due to GIVE. That's what I heard. Do you have data to back that up?
No, I don't.
Okay. Because we also invested in Advanced Peace, which is targeting people who are actively shooting. And we have Pathways to Peace, and we have a myriad of community organizations that have been working tirelessly, let alone the national reduction. And that's not to knock GIVE, but it's to acknowledge that there is more going on that we are investing in that has an impact on this reduction in violence that I am so happy to see in our city. And I think that these strategies work in tandem, in partnership, in collaboration. And I would like to see us really recognize the impact that community intervention has on violence reduction. Because again, policing, I agree that the GIVE folks over at RIT are working on prevention, but the more we spend in prevention, the safer our community will be.
Thank you, Councilmember Lupien, and I agree with a lot of what you just said. It's an all hands on deck approach. I think GIVE is one piece of it, but I do think it's an important piece. Any other comments before we move to a vote? Vice President Harris.
I'd just like to echo your remarks that, you know, it's all hands on deck, and we should do all these approaches, not just, you know, one. GIVE is definitely vital to suppression. Then there's also the other elements, a part of GIVE that's, you know, prevention. That's very important. And as Councilmember Lupien said, the other ones that we're doing, advanced peace, and all of those are very vital parts. What I'd like to just humbly suggest is maybe can have for consideration for RIT to include those other models into their next study when they do the next level of studying or their next report. So if they can add that data to it, so we can see the overall approach and how it affects our city. Thank you.
Councilmember Honoro.
Chief, would I be correct to say that GIVE also helps support trying to save people from domestic violence?
It does. We have found through the STRIVE program that many of our gun offenders are also domestic-related offenders. The program is very much intertwined.
I think oftentimes as we think about crime in the city, we're thinking about the things that we see happening on our streets and in vacant houses. But I think it's incredibly important to realize that there is a huge domestic violence issue in the city of Rochester. We know that women continue to be highly victimized, and any tool that we can use to help people get out from underneath an abuser, to help save their lives, to keep guns out of the wrong people's hands, is an important thing to do. We don't talk enough about domestic violence in this city, and we don't talk enough about the sex trafficking that's happening in our city. And we need to remember that the top victims here, women, the #1 victims, are victimized by men that they know or are in a relationship with. So I just want to say that I support the GIVE grant and support a holistic approach to how we deal with crime and how we have to change people's mentalities and how we have to change what we think of being a man is in society, and how we need to start getting those messages out now, because this is a cycle of domestic violence that when it happens, children watch it, children repeat it. They repeat it either by being the offenders or they repeat it by being the people who get abused. So I want to thank you for your work with this and STRIVE.
I have some STRIVE numbers if you would like them quick.
Yes, please.
So year to date, since January of 2026 in the city, we've recorded a total number of 2,064 incident reports involving intimate partner violence. Of those 2,064, we've made 616 arrests, which is approximately 30%. When you go to firearms, intimate partner violence involving a firearm, and I only have the Northeast, I apologize, I could probably find the rest. But the Northeast had 29 incidents, actually 29 out of the 54 citywide. So we've had 54 intimate partner incidents since January that involved a firearm.
Thanks, Chief. All right, with that, I'm going to move introductory number 304 to a vote.
Roll call, please.
Roll call.
Councilmember Gruber,
Yes.
Councilmember Leslie Smith,
Yes.
Councilmember Lupien,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
No.
Councilmember Monroe,
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Smith,
No.
Vice President Harris,
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries. Okay, regarding introductory 303, authorizing an intermunicipal agreement with the Rochester City School District and amending the 2026-27 budget to provide police services during the 2026 summer session, during the 2026-27 regular session, and for the 2026-27 regular school events. There are two disclosures on this item. So Council Vice President Harris and Council Member Lupien both have submitted disclosures of interest forms as employees of Rochester City School District, but they're only required to disclose this information and may participate in discussion and the vote. So Vice President Harris, do you have a motion related to this item?
Yes, President Melendez, I would like to make a motion to discharge introductory number 303 from committee.
Second.
It's been seconded. Let's vote on discharging 303 from committee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any questions, comments, concerns? Councilmember Lupien?
Yes. How many years have we been voting for this since SROs were removed from schools? 5 years?
4 or 5, I'd have
4 or
to get the
5.
exact number.
And I think every year I have stated on the record that we need to find ways to, again, prevent the violence from happening. Stationing police cars outside of schools might prevent some violence from actually happening at the school, but it doesn't stop the violence that happens when kids get back to their neighborhoods. And I have not seen an investment from the school district in doing that. I voted for it every time because I work in the city school district, and I know Council Vice President Harris works in the city school district, and I want kids to feel safe. I want to feel safe going to school. And whether or not it actually increases safety, it helps kids and teachers feel safer, and that's important to me. But I will say, for continuing to vote for this item and not seeing any movement, this year I'm going to vote no, because I just want to have it on the record that we need to do things differently, and I do not see the school district doing that. So this is just registering my dissent.
Thank you. Councilmember Monroe, followed by Councilmember Smith.
I just wanted to mention that the school resource officer program that used to be in the schools with a contract that the city had with the city school district, in my experience with my kids' schools, the SROs were people that made themselves available to the children in the schools. They were able to create relationships with them. They were able to see what might be happening in the schools that follow kids to their neighborhoods, or things from the neighborhoods that are coming into the schools, and diffuse those situations. I know that in the couple of schools my children were at, that the SROs were really valued people of the community that kids liked. So it's a shame that the school district took that piece of the program away, because it was another opportunity to work with community policing.
Councilmember Smith.
Once again, I think there are opportunities for us to use our violence prevention programs and organizations such as, again, Pathways, SNUG, Rise Up Rochester, et cetera, in conjunction with our Rochester Police Department. And again, I would love to see a 70-30 investment using these organizations where children can see individuals from their communities and have Rochester Police Department respond to, guns or other serious violence or traffic enforcement issues, versus having them, intervene in spaces where these other programs and intervention programs can be. And so for me, with that being said, again, I'm going to be voting no on this, because, again, I would love to see us have a deeper investment in some of our violence prevention programs alongside Rochester Police Department.
Thank you. Before I turn it to Councilmember Patterson, I think to that point, if the administration in writing after this could give us a sense of what is Pathways, contractually doing with RCSD, just so we have a full scope of where RPD is providing police service and where is Pathways providing additional services. That would be helpful, I think, to all of council. Councilmember Patterson.
Just some clarifying questions for the chief, for the public. Chief, what do the officers specifically and particularly do on this detail?
Their directive is to be out of the car, to stand near the front of the school and greet the students as they come and go, unless they see potential criminal activity afoot where they would have to leave and go back to their car. For example, cars going up and down the street that they had to address.
Okay, so the officers don't go into school.
No.
This is an outside detail.
Yes.
And this is a detail that is detailed because the RCSD has requested this service?
Yes.
Okay, so RCSD has requested the service, and we are simply providing the service that is requested.
Correct.
How long, what times are the, and I know it's in the transmittal, but what times are the officers there?
I don't have the exact
Roughly.
hours off the top of my head. They're
Yes.
there for arrival and dismissal.
Okay, so they're there in the beginning of the day, end of the day, just basically sitting on the spots until the kids are gone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Out of curiosity, I'm wondering if this program is deemed more cost-effective than the SRO program? Do we know that?
Well, I know the SROs were paid, they were not overtime. I mean, they were full-time positions that the school district reimbursed at the time. So they're probably spending more money now than they did on SROs.
They're spending more money on a arrival and dismissal program than they did in having officers in the school all day during the
I would
school
have
day?
to check the numbers, but anecdotally it would make sense. We're paying time and a half, whereas before it was straight time.
Got it.
All right, I have Councilmember Gruber followed by Vice President Harris.
Just out of curiosity, Chief, have there been any conversations with the school district about a return of an SRO program in the last 4 years or so?
Every once in a while there's mention of it. The bottom line is, even if they wanted to fund SROs, I don't have the staffing to do it. I mean, my traffic unit's down to one person now.
Got it. Thank you.
Vice President Harris.
I'd also just like to note for the public that in the transmittal, there was a question asked, was the agreement of this voted prior to coming here by RCSD? And the answer was yes. There was five A's and one that was not present at the vote. So they all voted in their at the Board of Education.
All right, so before we call a roll call, sorry. Councilmember Martin.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's important to acknowledge the reason why school resource officers, police officers were removed from schools. We know that they were usually put in black and brown school districts, as is the Rochester School District, low-income school district. We're seeing that overlap with where police officers are also being placed outside of schools. We know that when students interact with officers, anything can happen, right? Officers have the power to put their hands on students, arrest students. A lot can happen, and a lot has happened throughout the course of putting police officers in schools. In the city of Rochester, students from the RCSD, their parents, organized to remove police officers from the schools. They had stories. They talked about the impacts. They talked about feeling safe in the schools. So that decision was made to honor students, their parents, and recognize that students do not deserve to be policed. They deserve mental health care. They deserve sports, literally all the things we know that nurture and care for students. When we look at all the things students need, police officers is never on the list. So for me, it's really important to acknowledge that this fight was won, and I hope that we are not considering regressing and putting police officers back into our schools around black and brown children. The other thing I want to mention is I will be voting no on this because having police officers outside of schools is in contradiction to what we already fought for. We fought to remove police officers from schools. So the question is, why are we putting them back there, right? They're outside of schools, but they're still at the schools. They're still armed. They still come in with their biases. As many of you know, police officers do not live in our city. The vast majority of them don't. And I just don't think it's safe to have children, black and brown children, around police officers. So for that reason, I will be voting no.
Okay, so before we go to a roll call, just a couple comments. Obviously, we don't relitigate or rehash the SRO conversation. That's for the district to decide what they want to do, but I heard today the chief can't do it anyway. But I will say that my own experience as a person of color in a school in this city was and maybe I got the luck of the draw because I had Moses Robinson and Undersheriff Corey Brown as my SROs at high school. But they were ingrained and integrated into the school culture. They were part of the team, and I have very different experience than what was described. That is not to diminish the fact that people may have had different experiences, but I just want to say in the same breath that there's probably two sides to that same story. And I think community policing is something that maybe not all of us on council want, but want to see more of, generally speaking. And SROs was a model that got at that. If there's other ways to find ways to support our young people. We heard loud and clear, though, after the Franklin incident a few years ago, or Padilla incident a few years ago, where the shots fired incident happened, all the families that I heard from actually wanted some support outside of their school. But that's, again, tomato, tomato. People have different experiences and different commentary on what they want to see. I do implore my colleagues, though, that do want to see something different from RCSD to please engage them over the next year and have them hear you out as well in terms of what you'd like to see to come before this body for consideration. If we don't engage RCSD, this is what we're going to get every single year. All right, with that, I'll move it to a roll call.
Councilmember Gruber. Councilmember Leslie Smith.
Yes.
Councilmember Lupian.
No.
Councilmember Martin.
No.
Councilmember Monroe.
Yes.
Councilmember Patterson.
Yes.
Councilmember Smith.
No.
Vice President Harris.
Yes.
President Melendez.
Yes. Motion carries.
Before we close, I do have a question for the administration around public safety.
I'll get to yes, I have a couple things too before we close, and then I know Vice President has something, Councilmember Martin. So I just want to highlight a few quick things. So related to the zoning alignment project, I just want to share an update to the public that at some point soon, the City Council will be receiving the zoning plan for our consideration, and we'll be announcing a thorough public process. Just to highlight a few things, Council will have a hearing, possibly two here in these chambers, where council members will go through the zoning plan with members of the administration to ask questions. We'll have some form and manner of public meetings in each quad of the city. We'll be working with the district council members to host those in all four quadrants of the city. In addition, we'll have our mandatory public hearings. There will likely be a work session with a consultant as well. So there will be a drawn-out process. I'd imagine once council receives the legislation from administration, we will probably spend 2 to 3 months before we vote on this. So I want to make sure the public is aware that when it comes to council, it's not going to be rushed through. We have some due diligence we have to do on our end, and that will be probably coming as early as September. In addition, I want to highlight that we have a Rock the Block employment fair at the Salvation Army on August 19th. It'll be from 11 to 2 at 100 West Avenue. Salvation Army right outside of, in the front of the Salvation Army on West Avenue. Councilmember or Vice President Harris.
Thank you, President Melendez. And this is to the administration. I have a question in regards to public safety. In particular, I just noticed we all know about the most recent emergency order to ban groups of 10 or more people from gathering in public spaces without a permit between 11 p.m. and 5 p.m. And I just like to pose a couple of questions as to, could you explain to us the mindset of that and why something that you guys would put in place, why would you not consult council, or at least let us know before that rolls out? And I have concerns because my family's from Alabama, and the language very closely mimics some of the language in the 1800 slave codes. And I have serious concerns about that, being a descendant of immigrants coming from Alabama. Can you please speak to that? Can someone address that?
So I won't speak for the mayor, but the gathering limitations that were put in place using the mayor's emergency powers under the executive law. And I think it's because of the mayor's powers that he would not have consulted with council. But beyond that, I think it's a conversation you're going to have with the mayor. But those are powers uniquely reserved for the executive. Aside from that, we did an internal legal analysis about the best way to accomplish the things that the administration thought would make sense for public safety. And I'm happy to share that analysis with council in a privileged and confidential setting.
Thank you. I really would appreciate that. I mean, there was quite a bit of backlash on Facebook. I received phone calls from previous council members. And, you know, it's one of those things that our community, I think we collectively can do better. We can do better, and I appreciate that the mayor wants to do something and the police department would like to do something about what's happening. We want you guys to be responsive. And as the chair of public safety, I'd never want to like hold anyone's hands, but I just think something of that drastic nature, especially when there's already been legislation that has been challenged, very similar, that previous council member Adam McFadden, the person I'm sitting in, he put forth some legislation from some years ago that was deemed to be unconstitutional. So I just like us to like maybe unpack that as a council with corporate council advisement, either in a work session or however you guys see fit. And thank you.
Vice President, given that it was just referenced that we might need to do this in PNC, we have a PNC session Thursday, so we can quickly follow up on that.
Thank you.
Councilmember Martin.
Yeah, two things. First, thank you, Vice President, for using your voice to speak out on that issue. I know a lot of our community members are opposed to it. I do want to say I am deeply opposed to it because we know that when curfew or curfew-like orders are created, the people most impacted, again, are poor, Black, and brown people. We saw something similar in 2020 when there was a curfew and people were attacked by RPD. So I do want to discuss alternatives to this. I will say the mayor is doing a good job in his attempts to curb violence. However, this path is not the way we should be going. So I'm looking forward to that conversation and really asking that this order is lifted and we look to creating solutions informed by our community, informed by council to make sure people feel safe and not disproportionately targeted because of where they're from, where they live, and what they look like. The second thing, when it comes to the bill credit card service fees, there was an increase of 8.5%. At that point, I did vote yes, only because the mayor who was here at that time said he was committed to taking it back to RFP and seeing if we can find something lower. I just want to have an update on where that process is. I think he said within the next council meeting, and we're here now. I know things are busy, but just an update on where things are.
Yep, happy to get you something thorough in writing.
Thank you.
Okay, before we conclude, I do want to offer Councilmember Leslie Smith an opportunity to vote on the first three items that we had. So introductory number 260. Want to record a vote? Yes. Intro 261.
Yes.
And intro 262.
Yes.
All right. And Chief of Staff Smith, final word.
Sure. I just wanted to acknowledge that we are joined tonight by the first Chief of Staff of City Council, Bill Sullivan. And for the first time in history, Bill is attending a council meeting in a golf shirt and sandals. Pretty impressive. And one last thing, Bill told me that the carving above the council president is not in fact a carving of him.
Touche. All right, with no further business, we stand adjourned.